Hi, and welcome back to In the Front Row. My name is Jamie Lee. Today I'm joined by my friend Jace and my friend Homelander Don down the bottom. How are we going, guys?
Well, I am better than everybody, so you are all maggots to me. I will step on all of you. Sorry to tell you.
Listen, put the goddamn titty milk down and let's have a conversation about the episode.
Put the milk bottle down and let's chat. Wow, I can't believe that in this episode we got more milk. Like, we knew that was his fantasies, and he's got this obsession with breast milk and, wanting to be comforted by a mother. But oh my gosh,
this is so weird. I was like, this is so weird.
I mean, this entire episode was kind of a crazy episode from start to finish. At first, I thought it was maybe it wasn't one of my most favorite ones, but I think there's key scenes and things that have happened that really redeemed the hell out of this episode, because I feel like it was a slow takeoff. But once it took off, holy shit.
Yeah, it was definitely an episode that had me feeling uncomfortable, but as you said, there was many parts at many times, but there was many parts in this that there were, I think maybe you could say 3 or 2 big reveals that happened in this. And this first one is what we touched on last week with, is Joe Kessler, Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character, a figment of Butcher's imagination, or is he real?
And I think I started this episode with that thought in mind the entire time. And I was extremely and I'm pretty sure that's exactly.
I literally dissected every scene.
And I think that's what the showrunners, the people, the producers, writers, that's what they did. This episode was meant to make you question everything about Joe and his character, and I think it was beautifully done because there were so many scenes where you're just like, the other guy's not acknowledging any of this. Like the Shamir is not acknowledging a single thing that this guy is saying. He's not looking towards him, and you really are questioning it in these moments. And then when they're having the conversation back and forth between her and him and Butcher, and then he finally just says, "Shut up, bitch," and you're just like, it really is true.
Yeah, he's not real.
When I realized what was going on, it was a scene where he was getting ready to leave and he says, "Don't let him fall asleep again," or something like that. But he says out loud, "I'm going to leave you with him." And they pan immediately to Samir, and he doesn't even acknowledge anybody else in the room. He is just strictly focused on Butcher. And I was like, there
was tons of moments like that.
Samir, that was the one where I was like, yep, they're being smart here. They're really playing this smart.
Yeah. So not only do we get the reveal, though, that, Becca's his angel on one shoulder and Joe is the devil on his other, but Samir reveals that if he were to make this virus strong enough to kill Homelander, and this blew my mind, it would not just kill Homelander, but every suit. Every suit. That is what this show is made of. That is what Gen V is built on, soups. All of them would be destroyed.
Oh, season 1 Butcher would have done it in a second.
Yes.
Split. Yeah.
In a heartbeat.
Now that he has a kid, or his kid, Ryan, he's contemplating his morality. And I love that.
There's more, like, it's not even just like, yes, Ryan is the biggest factor of it. But like Becca said to him in Kimiko, Starlight, you have all these people that you are now intertwined with that are not bad people, that are trying to do good in the world. And are you really going to kill them all?
Not even that, but even the ones that are gone. Maeve, he got to know Maeve.
Yeah, so we got that reveal that, all of the soups would go. So Butcher, he's got to weigh up the options here on what he really wants. And as Becca said, you kill off Homelander, you're going to get other Homelanders. You're not going to end this. So stop being so obsessive about it and just live, let it go sort of thing is what she wants. So I really liked that first opening scene with them lot.
Also, I think that the biggest one is you're going to turn, if you do this, you're going to turn Ryan into the next one, because that would 100% be the catalyst. Even if if someone hated their father or anything like that, the moment you if someone was to kill your father in front of you like this, of course, what? I'm losing my mind. You're now dead.
Mm.
Well, not to mention, I think this is also a smart way to keep the devil and like angel thing going with Butcher, because we had it with Hughie and sort of just past experiences, that he's gone through. Butcher has as sort of the devil and the angel. And now that Hughie's kind of not really the angel type anymore. I mean, he is, but he's made some decisions too. Now we have this new version of that, and it's really well done. I love the way they do everything in this show. They just make things so deep. It's so crazy.
Yeah, well, moving on, segueing that into deep and crazy, we get the stuff with Tech Night. And, oh, man, I know some parts of this are a little bit funny, but this just makes me uncomfortable. The fact that they are torturing, of all people, like anybody is a no. You don't do that. But Hughie, he just lost his dad. He's going through so much. And then he has to go and pretend to be a web slinger and go through this uncomfortable torture, really.
Yeah.
It was awkward to watch, and I was just like, hurry up.
Yeah, the whole scene was, they made some lighthearted jokes throughout all of it, but it was extremely, that was one of the moments where the boys pushed the envelope for me, and they were definitely on the verge of like, all right, where do I fast forward to get these scenes over with?
Yeah. They did the lightheartedness fun in it is how it correlates to, like Spider-Man and Batman, with the butler. I forget his name, but they had a butler and he would call him Master Knight, because Tech Knight and Master Wayne. And I loved the whole like correlation to Batman. That stuff was funny, but the scene itself, it was.
The funniest little moment is when they first get off of the elevator down into the night cave, and all you hear are bats flying. I was like, that's such a great little touch. It's such a great little touch.
I love, because don't get me wrong, Tech Knight was never the best character, but there was never like, you didn't know all of the things you find out about him in these episodes. You don't know all about his family throughout until this episode. Even in Gen V, you don't hear about it, all the the slave owning and all that other shit. And in this episode, they really portray him and his family as such a horrible person, and they just completely make you be like, oh, okay, he deserves what comes to him.
What's coming. And I think it was really fitting that the butler is the one that took his life. I was like, that's really good, because he was very racist and he was very elite only, and used the butler even as his own personal slave. So it was, really fitting that he was the one to take him out in the end. So that was good.
I completely agree. And then what you find out about why they're actually involving Tech in this all is to get his prisons and to basically turn them into internment camps, which is insane. There's no prisoners. There is just, you either are with us or against us. And if not, you're going to be put to, these internment camps, and you're going to be put to work, basically. And it's kind of insane how you see their plans are basically going to unfold in their eyes.
Yeah, that was the second big reveal. That was very frightening. And what's also just as frightening is the fact that I can't, and I know Taco says it every week, you can't trust a politician. But I just can't put my finger on Victoria Neuman. Like, she wants to be the president, but like, why would she be openly saying that she's all for these camps and things like this, like Team Homelander? It's quite scary to think, does she agree with some of the things that he's actually saying? Like, is her past with being excluded and being an outsider, because she grew up poor and went through all these homes before she got to Stan Edgar and things like that, like, are all those factors playing on her mind? Because she's a really scary figure, and she's got a lot of power, both physically with her head popping abilities, but also with the way that she speaks, and with Homelander sort of under her wing a little bit.
I think her motivations are changing. I think she's realizing, I really don't have power in this circle, but if I work with her, I might be able to have some power, because she really is. I don't want to say a puppet, because she is doing her own thing in the behind the scenes, but every time there's somebody that comes out and it's like, no, but we're not taking you seriously. We're just using you as a figurehead to, say things for us. Where now, with Sage, she actually has a motivation and a goal, a direction.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think with Sage finally, basically empowering her and being like, listen, It's been far too long since we've let these men, boss us around and, kind of let us guide in our, ideals and what we want to do. Like, fuck it. Let's just do this ourselves. I think this is kind of also the first implications you have of maybe Sage isn't completely on Homelander's side, and she may have this other hidden agenda where she is out for herself and almost using Homelander to get these things. Yeah. These few conversations between her and Neuman, they've definitely shined a bit of a light on her ulterior motives even in the slightest of ways. I don't think they've given away too much. I just definitely think that they've shown that maybe she's not 100% leaning one way.
I would definitely agree. I don't think she's definitely 100% with Homelander at this point. At least I can't say for sure she is,
But
I really liked that we got a bit of backstory on her to do with her grandma. Like, her grandma was dying and she had the cure, but nobody took her seriously. So to think that she does have that motive as well, that, screw them all. They didn't listen to me. Why should I help them? Like, that's her.
Well, and the one guy was Mike Pence, basically, is who they were representing him as, because they make the one joke about him he can't be in a room with a woman alone without his wife being there. That's a Mike Pence thing. And so they were making, sort of political references to modern times, but showing it in this context.
That's also a jab towards season 1, because he was the dude that God, what was her name who ran Vought? I can't remember, but it was a stab towards that.
Madeline still.
Yeah.
Madeline, yeah.
When she got Doppelganger to sleep with him,
yeah.
And now he is like, now she says, I think that's another reason why it's a jab towards that character. Like, oh, now he will not be with anyone but his wife or like specific mistresses, because.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good reference. Absolutely. That's kind of what I was saying more. Was that he represents the man over her, in power over her. Because even when she's like, when Homelander is saying his spiel, until she steps up and she's like, no, wait a minute, I can bring this home.
Yeah.
They're even with him, and they know he can destroy all of them. They're still like, yeah, but who's going to do this? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do this?
Yeah.
Because they're practical people. You need to have a plan involved, and I think it was kind of brilliant of the show to basically show how much Homelander is not in control at all of any situation. Homelander is essentially and always will be the muscle, and I think he has the hardest time understanding this and then the hardest time coming to grips with this. And he wants to be able to rule the world, but he can't, because he doesn't see big picture and he has no idea what he's doing. He has always been this scared child. And I think in that moment, right before Neuman steps up and he's looking at Sage, who is shot in the head, brain damage, I want Taco Bell.
Like,
just one of the funniest moments, though. It's just hilarious.
Oh, God.
I hope that was the chocolate cake from Hughie's scene. Just
oh, my God. Yeah.
I just had my brain was going backwards, like, cake. Where did we see cake? No. Anyway, moving on. Sorry, just stuffing her face and saying it's not there.
I think it was this moment where you just see Homelander panicking and he doesn't know what to say. And Neuman kind of capitalizes on this moment and just is like, here's what we're gonna fucking do. This is how we do this. We'll take care of this. Like, and you don't even, typical politician fashion. She didn't give a plan. She didn't answer a single fucking question they had.
Mm-hmm. She told them that they were better than everybody else, and that's all they did.
She got them inspired. She told them, oh, I'm going to make your pockets fatter. You guys don't need to listen to anything. And she told them exactly what they wanted to hear. Not even a question what they answered. Not even what they asked. She didn't tell them what they were going to do about the defense, the whole Department of Defense. She didn't, any of the questions.
No.
But like I said, typical politician fashion, she completely pulverized the conversation and was just like, no. You guys are better than everyone else, and we're going to show it.
Yeah. So let's backtrack a little tiny bit, because we talked about Sage being not quite all there, having brain damage. And that scene was probably one of my favorite scenes, because I was not expecting MM to shoot her in the head. And it was really the aftermath of that, seeing MM have a panic attack and Kimiko begging A-Train to take him to the hospital. That scene was beautiful for me because I've really loved this season, A-Train and his development and where we're heading with him, that he's trying to redeem himself and trying to become good. I love that. And seeing him save a life and this little boy acknowledging that he had been a hero for once in his probably superhero life, he's finally a hero. That was a really beautiful moment and probably my favorite scene of the whole episode. What did you guys think of that?
I really love this scene too because we get this heist in the middle of this episode where we have this like political drama going on upstairs. We have this insane sex whatever thing is going on downstairs, and we also have this completely, just dude losing his mind with two invisible people he's been talking to. And the way this episode really weaves all those together and never feels like you're losing out on any of them. But to get back to the Kimiko, her getting shot in the head and all this, I love this scene. It's so fun between them. And then A-Train coming in and being like, what the hell is going on? I thought you guys
like A-Train
really,
is just
it's a really good like
A-Train was just literally like he looks at them and is just like, this was supposed to be a reconnaissance mission. What the fuck is going on?
And it just shows too that Mother's Milk, I think, as great as he is as a character and as great as he is, like, and he is always trying to do the right thing, he's not a great leader sometimes. Do you know what I mean? And I don't mean it as a dig against him or anything, because he's great, but he just always loses control of this group for some reason. But again, it's this group. We do know that. He loses
control of his emotions all the time. Mm-hmm. And that's the biggest thing is like you bring up the wrong things with MM and he just absolutely And it's not even also he snaps. He gets into those panic attacks and he starts freaking out and he doesn't know what to do. And it's like, that's not a leader. A leader can't, a leader can't have panic attacks like that. Right?
Well, it's kind of like the opposite right now of Homelander, what we're seeing Homelander go through. Because it's not that Homelander's stupid. He's very smart. He's just too emotional. His emotions get the better of him and he just...
I still don't know how smart Homelander is.
Again, I'm not saying he's like Sage level smart, but I'm saying he's not like, I don't know what words are. Like he still understands concepts when they explain it to him. He gets what's going on. He's just not. But
he also, my thing is, he's
super emotional.
He's so stunted as a human being that he's like stuck in these adolescent phases where he's just like, I'm going to take it because I can and it's mine and I'm stronger than you.
I don't think his intelligence is like low. I just think that he just doesn't utilize it correctly. He just emotionally reacts to things. Like you said, he's just, I'm stronger than you. I can do this, whatever. I don't need to think about the consequence. He's never had to think about the consequence. I guess maybe that's a better way to put it. It's not that he can't. He just never had to.
I think now he's starting to, though, purely because of Brian. Because,
which is tearing him apart mentally.
Yeah, because season 1 Homelander, if somebody, like we're talking about these prison camps, but if somebody went against Homelander, soup or not a soup, just a human, regular human, he would just laser them. There's not a thought in his mind that he wouldn't take them out. So why now is he creating these detention camps and these places to lock people up who go against him? If people go against him in season 1, see you later. Yep. So he is starting to think about the bigger picture for Ryan. But I don't know how positive that bigger picture is. And I really do think, Don, I agree with what you said last week about the little look that Ryan gave. I saw it, I think, 2 or 3 times in this episode where they walked in and everybody was praising Homelander like, oh, you're here, sir, and really talking him up. And Ryan was giving these filthy looks like, what is this? This is so fake and disgusting.
It just seems like he has no respect for him, really. Like he really doesn't have respect for him at all.
And when they talked about a team up, Homelander's eyes were like, I'm better than this kid. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not teaming up with him, like there's no balance between them. Like father and son, you should want what's best for your father. You should want what's best for your son. And you can see that there's something not balanced with their relationship.
Well, going back to Jason's point, he's trying to father like a kid thinks of father, of being a parent, where when we're kids, we're like, I'll never do this to my kid. I'll never treat him like this. And that's all he's doing. He's not really being a father. He's being a child's version of what a parent, he thinks a parent should do, to make their kid happy. But it's not, it doesn't work that way. I mean, you're a parent, I'm a parent. We know that you can't just give in to every child's demand just because that's what they want. You have to be a parent sometimes and be like, no, where he doesn't understand that. He still thinks if I'm just nice to him and I just give him whatever he wants, he'll love me for it.
It's still like he's trying to be his friend more than his parent.
Right. Yeah.
Backtracking a tiny bit there with Sage. So when she got shot in the head,
I think this is more of outing her vulnerability. I think this is how A-Train's going to find out, because towards the end of that scene, A-Train comes back. And I think this is where her vulnerability and how her weakness comes to light to people. But I don't think that the brain damage is permanent. I think it's going to be, next episode she's going to be back, and then Homelander is going to be like, all right, what the fuck was that? Like he's going to probably be very, very mad. He's going to be extremely upset the way that he was almost humiliated to these people.
Yeah.
Well, I just thought that would be
another question though. I wanted to bring this up because how do we think his hearing works?
Yeah, with all that screaming going on downstairs.
All the screaming going on downstairs, not to mention, I get it, he had a silencer on that gun, but it's Homelander. I feel like he would have heard that shot. He's in the same house and a shot goes off and he doesn't even react. That is kind of weird to me. Only because like I watch like Superman and Lois, and like he's always like constantly like he can listen in on what's going on around him, but he can also hear everything else at the same time. So I feel like there's a couple times in this episode where he should definitely have heard what was going on, especially
you can also see through walls. Like canonically, we know as long as they're not zinc, I think it was. So he can't just be like, all right, where the fuck is like, because he said A-Train was nowhere to be found. So obviously you swept the house. So
not to mention A-Train isn't faster than him in the sense that he can react to A-Train's speed. So if A-Train just like takes off, he would be the only one I would think that would at least know, like, oh yeah,
he'd be like,
A-Train just ran.
You know
what I mean? Like he would be the one that would catch that over anybody else because he can react to it. He has the super speed too. So I don't know. I think
it's a bluff that they sort of want us to just gloss over and things like that.
One of those TV moments,
and I think one of the things that they tried to disguise that with is with the tech. So when they went down into the tech dungeon or whatever we call it, Batcave, they lost the connection when they were planting the bugs, so they could no longer hear Hughie. So maybe
that might be lined with the zinc, like you're talking about. I think he might know that, and he probably lined that. So that whole underground area is probably lined with zinc where he can't get through it.
Well, yes. But like Starlight, Kimiko, they were all just upstairs.
And
I mean, look, they're having low conversations, but again, can Homelander hear things or not? Like they're in the same house, and it's not like at that point they were downstairs. They were upstairs in the library in the same house. I don't know. Again, it's weird little things, and maybe I'm just overanalyzing it because But I'm thinking maybe they don't play it that way because if he hears it, oh my God, the danger that puts them in at that moment because he's just coming through the ceiling on him. I mean, he's literally right below him, basically at that point. So
I definitely
know. Maybe that's why they didn't do it, but
something to gloss over. But I did love the scenes with Kimiko where she was trying to beg A-Train
how heartbreaking is that?
Oh, she was beautiful with them books. Like, what about for her? Think about his daughter, or like whatever the book titles were. That was beautiful. And it's really breaking my heart to see her alone at the end of this season, and that they're really glossing over what's happening with Frenchie. Like, he doesn't want to see her. I just think that their storyline it's really frustrating me that they're not using them to their full potential. And I don't know whether that's
the way they ended the episode with that. I think that's what we're going to be going into next episode.
My thing is we have how many episodes left though, and we had an entire episode without Frenchie or any progress on their storyline, and it was just basically like, no, I don't want to be seen by anyone. Like, and it was just like, okay, I guess, cool. Like, I get it. It's like his whole solidarity and shit. They could have at least had some kind of a scene with the actor inside of prison and doing something. I just think that it was a really waste of the development.
He could have just been saying, the CO could have came up to him and he could have actually just said to him, hey, I don't want to see anybody.
We could have had some kind of scene where that actually made sense and how that actually was.
But it's hard. Oh my God, it's so heartbreaking to see her and write on that piece of paper to that lady, like I have nowhere else to go. Like I just want to see him. It's such a heartbreaking moment, man.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah, it goes back to what we were saying last week about the boys being able to get Frenchie out of prison. Like, we were so certain that he wasn't going to prison. There's no way. And yet here we are, just sort of pushing him to the side, locking him away. As Don said, maybe until next week, maybe the following week, who knows? But it just is really upsetting to me that we're closing that door and not having Frenchie or Kimiko in, or used to their potential at least. And so in the final scenes, we got Firecracker showing her devotion to Homelander, and that's where we really end things off. I loved the first part of this, not so much the breast milk part, but the first part where she was saying, in this episode, they looked at her like she was stupid. They were like, go to the bar, go get your free stuff, like, go be a fake soup. And then she came to Homelander one-on-one and said, listen to me. Actually, listen. Sage has done this. A-Train left and took MM to the hospital. Like, said all these things that were happening underneath Homelander's feet, like literally under and above him, that he had no idea what was going on. And she come and outed all these things to show, see, I am on the ball. I can do this. And then showed her devotion by taking drugs in order to produce breast milk so that he can live out his fantasy and have basically Madeline Stillworld 2.0. Gross, firstly, to have that end scene where she's mothering him and going like, hey, that's my boy. Oh, God. Cringy.
Oh, man, it was weird.
But
how does she know this is what I want to know, because this is not something that I can imagine he would have want out there.
No.
So I don't know who would be alive that would know this information that she got, because even she said, I was just a small channel like 2 months ago that had a couple hundred followers. Now I'm the anchor of, VNN. And it's like, how would she have gotten this information? I'm just what
that's a good point.
It's out there.
That's also a good point, because she said it's herself that this was a lengthy process for her. So it was like, how long have you been really working on this, and how did you get that information?
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, Sage didn't know that. Billy Butcher didn't know that. None of these people who seem to be in the know with these smart things had any hints that Homelander was obsessed with that sort of fantasy, because if they did, they could have exploited that long ago and had somebody, planted to be a bug to work with him and just purely provide, like a pregnant woman or, like something. They could have provided that bug or that insider spy, and nobody ever used that. So it feels really strange that Sage, somebody that is not really in the big bubble of things, knew that information. So I'd be curious to find that out as well.
Yeah. But this scene is freaking, I mean, it's amazing and it's wild and it's out there, but it is sort of that, like, that's all he cares about is loyalty. Now she's now fulfilling two things that he loves more than anything else, which is breast milk and loyalty. So it's going to be really interesting going forward with this relationship.
There's also that one scene.
How many super kids are they going to have, by the way?
It's not a sexual thing. It's a loyalty thing.
No, it is now. It wasn't, but it is now.
There was one scene I wanted to ask you guys about. Do you think Sage was completely out of it when she gave Neuman the look at the end of it? Like, yes, there was the extra nods that we were just like, but like, do you think there was a bit of like part of it was just like acknowledging her stepping up into this like badass authoritarian woman role?
I think she's still there, but because of the lobotomy, whatever happens to her brain, I think she's just, obviously, for lack of a better term, dumbed down.
But
I think she's still there, and I think she's still but she's just like a kid almost at that point, where she's like, we did it, you did it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, kind of like, but I think she understands what happened, but she's just, I don't know, kind of like takes her out of, the way she explains it, at least to the Deep, was that it just kind of numbs her, basically. So
I think it was also beautiful because he finally just, looks at Starlight and is just basically like, I'm not okay. And, she's kind of taking it like, oh, what did they do to you down there? Like, are you okay? And like, he just is like, no, like, I lost my father. I miss my dad. And like, he finally, I think he breaks down. And I think this is where we also see like a bit of a compassionate moment between Starlight and Hughie.
It goes back to what we were saying last week about how you can have a completely wild episode like we did this episode, full of very weird things going on, but to also have that moment of it's okay to not be okay. Like that is a really real thing. And that's something that is a very serious topic to acknowledge, that people can, you know, do all this stuff and they're like, no, I'm fine, I can do it. And let's go. But then when you pause for a second, you go, oh no, I'm not right. So the fact that they acknowledged that was really, really great. And I feel really terrible that all that stuff did happen to Hughie when, you know, he did, not that stuff should happen to anybody, but the fact that it happened to Hughie it's a lot. It's a lot for anybody to process. So
I mean, especially after the scene we got from the last episode with him having to do what he did with, you know, basically killing his father. Yeah, I mean, you can't be okay. You can't be okay at this.
Typical dude fashion. Yeah, no, I'm fine. Let's go. Let's keep going.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're fine.
So I think that's everything for this episode. I think we've summed everything up. The next episode is going to be an interesting one because we're going to see what happens with Butcher, how he deals with that news and that information, what decision he makes from that, and then also how Homelander is going to reprimand people like Sage, like A-Train, and all these people that have been secretly working against him. I can't wait to see that. And I think we haven't really touched on him too much, but I think we're going to see a little bit on Black Noir and using, he was revealed. We have Black Noir.
Some people, I guess, really forget the fact that the real Noir is dead. And I've read so many people like be like, oh, we finally get to see who's behind the mask. And I'm like, this is we've seen who was behind the original mask already. This is now Mask 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're going to see a lot more of him to do with violence, because the original Black Noir, he got off on being violent. And this one, we haven't seen him do anything. But the fact that the Deep is encouraging him and saying, you know, people used to laugh at me until I punched them in the face multiple times. Do they laugh now? No. You know, like the fact that they just blow that around, that they can just abuse anybody, is scary. And I think we're going to see that.
No, Homelander is toxic. Homelander is toxic in that because they're all scared to death of him. And now they're all just like, I mean, he's not wrong. We are kind of stronger than everybody else.
That's also what Sage is doing, because they all kind of were like, no, he can do that. We can't do that.
Right.
But she manipulated them to thinking that they can.
But Sage is now like, no, guys. We're all better than these people. We need to show it.
No, you're right. No, you are. No, you're right. It was Sage,
What is this guy actually capable of? He
did say he can fly.
Yeah, no, I think he's a scoop, because he said I can fly. Like, I can literally fly.
He's like, did you know I can fly? Like, who was this guy before? Because, like, also, like, let's be real here. That's got to fuck with someone to be plucked from your life and be like, okay, you are no longer you. You are now Noir, and you need to shut the fuck up and do your part. Well, what the fuck is my part? Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
I feel like, because they made this reference a couple of times. They did it in Gen V. But they did it before that, where they say you either become a hero or like an entertainer. I'm wondering if he's like an actor that's a soup also. Do you know what I mean? And he's maybe just like kind of fell out of the limelight for the last, 15 years, something like that. And they were just like, oh, this guy doesn't exist. And, maybe one of those people that people think is dead, you know what I mean? That isn't actually dead. And they're just like, no, let's put him in the suit. They already think he's dead anyway. He's just put it. I'm thinking maybe that's how they're going to play it. I don't know though. I don't know. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. But that was our thoughts on episode 6 of The Boys. 2 episodes left, so we're excited to see what's coming next. Thank you for watching, and make sure you tune in for next week's episode. Bye.
Bye, guys.